Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the viewport of the TSS Prometheus, her reflection ghosting against the backdrop of Saturn's rings. The quantum displays surrounding her workstation pulsed with an urgent crimson that matched her racing heartbeat. First contact was supposed to be humanity's crowning achievement. Instead, it had become their greatest nightmare. Contact constellation has changed again. Admiral, Lieutenant Park's voice was steady despite the tension. The alien fleet is maintaining their spiral approach pattern, now showing approximately 15,000 vessels. Sarah closed her eyes for a moment, letting the neural interface sync with her consciousness. The tactical display bloomed in her mind, a three-dimensional representation of the solar system, with the massive alien armada appearing as a red spiral slowly constricting around Earth's orbital plane. They had appeared 3 days ago, emerging from what their scientists could only describe as fold space, a technology humanity had theorized but never managed to replicate. Status of Project Lighthouse, she asked, though the neural feed was already providing the answer. All 300 quantum displacement arrays are online and synchronized, Admiral. The lunar base reports ready status, and Mars Defense Command confirms their participation window. This was it. Everything humanity had worked for since the discovery of quantum mechanics was about to be put to the test. They couldn't match the aliens in numbers or conventional firepower, but humanity had never played by conventional rules. Open broadcast channels, Sarah commanded. All frequencies, all known encoding patterns. The communications officer's fingers danced across his holographic interface. Channel open, Admiral. Sarah straightened her uniform, though the gesture was meaningless for an audio transmission. This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Terran Space Service. You have entered restricted space and demonstrated hostile intent through your approach vector and formation. We request immediate communication and cessation of your advance. You have 10 minutes to comply. The response came almost immediately, a cascade of mathematical sequences that the ship's AI translated in real time. The message was simple: submit or be eliminated. Humanity was deemed too dangerous to be allowed continued technological development. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Typical. They're so advanced, they've become predictable. She opened a secure channel to all TSS vessels. All ships, initiate Protocol Prometheus. Authorization, Chen, Alpha 773. Throughout the solar system, 300 seemingly defensive platforms activated. But they weren't weapons, not in the traditional sense. Each was a quantum displacement array designed to manipulate space-time itself. The alien fleet had expected resistance. They had expected weapons. What they got instead was something entirely different. QD arrays at full power, Lieutenant Park reported. Quantum field coherence at optimal levels. Execute, Sarah ordered. In an instant, the space around each alien vessel became its own isolated pocket of reality. The quantum displacement arrays didn't attack the ships directly. Instead, they created hundreds of microscopic time differentials around each vessel. Time itself began flowing at different rates across each ship's hull, creating tidal forces that no material could withstand. The effect was devastating. Ships began breaking apart, not from weapons fire, but from the fabric of reality itself being twisted around them. The elegant spiral formation collapsed into chaos as vessel after vessel succumbed to the quantum tide. 80% of hostile fleet showing critical structural failures, the tactical officer reported, their voice barely containing their amazement. They're trying to retreat, but their fold space drives aren't functioning within the quantum displacement field. Sarah watched through the viewport as distant flashes marked the death of alien ships. It wasn't the victory humanity had wanted, but it was the victory they needed. Send another broadcast, she ordered. Same frequencies. This is Admiral Chen. Your fleet is currently experiencing the effects of localized quantum displacement fields. We can maintain these fields indefinitely. Your fold space technology will not function until we deactivate the arrays. You have a choice. Continue this attack and be destroyed, or stand down and engage in peaceful dialogue. We await your response." The minutes that followed were tense. Sarah watched as the remaining alien ships struggled against the invisible forces tearing them apart. Finally, a new transmission arrived. The AI translation appeared on her neural feed. "We miscalculated. The Federation accepts your terms for dialogue." Sarah nodded slowly. "Stand down quantum arrays. Maintain field readiness, but deactivate the displacement effect." She turned to her crew, seeing the same mix of relief and pride on their faces that she felt herself. "It seems humanity has a seat at the galactic table after all. Though I don't think this was quite the introduction they were expecting." As the quantum fields dissipated and the surviving alien ships regrouped at a respectful distance, Sarah couldn't help but reflect on humanity's path to this moment. They had never developed the fold space drives that seemed common among alien civilizations. Instead, they had looked deeper, understanding the very fabric of space-time itself. While others traveled through space, humanity had learned to bend it to their will. "Prepare a diplomatic shuttle," she ordered, "and inform Earth Command that first contact negotiations are about to begin. Something tells me this is going to be a very interesting conversation." The stars seemed to shine a little brighter as humanity prepared to take its first steps into a larger galaxy, not as supplicants, but as equals. The galaxy had intended to judge humanity's worthiness for survival. Instead, humanity had judged them right back. The diplomatic chamber aboard the neutral station Concordia hummed with a low-frequency resonance that made Admiral Chen's teeth ache. After the battle, if it could even be called that, the surviving alien ships had requested this meeting at a hastily constructed station at the midpoint between their fleets. The chamber itself was a marvel of Sen architecture, its walls shifting and flowing to accommodate the environmental needs of all present species. The Federation representatives sat across the crystalline table, if you could call it sitting. Most of them were energy constructs contained within elaborate mechanical shells, their forms flickering with patterns that the neural translator interpreted as everything from anxiety to fascination. Their leader, who had introduced himself as Grand Observer Xerxes, was the only organic among them, a towering figure with iridescent scales and multiple pairs of eyes that seemed to operate independently. "You must understand," Xerxes was saying, his translator converting his harmonic speech into crisp English. "This was never meant to be a true invasion." Sarah felt her jaw tighten. 15,000 warships suggest otherwise. "A test," another representative chimed in, their energy form pulsing with what the translator marked as urgency, part of the Great Protocol, a system that has guided galactic civilization for over 50 million years. The human delegation exchanged glances. Dr. Emily Wong, Earth's leading xenanthropologist, leaned forward. "You're saying that every emerging civilization faces this test?" "Precisely." Xerxes spread his upper limbs in what the translator suggested was a gesture of scholarly pride. "We present ourselves as conquerors, demanding submission. How a species responds tells us everything about their potential role in galactic society. Some submit, they become client races, protected and guided. Others fight conventionally, they become military allies. Some try to negotiate, they join our diplomatic corps." "And what does our response tell you?" Sarah asked, though she could guess from the nervous energy patterns rippling through the energy beings. Xerxes' scales shifted color, displaying patterns that made the translator stutter. "In 50 million years, no species has ever done what you did. Physical weapons we understand. Even psychic abilities have been documented. But you weaponized reality itself." Dr. Wong's eyes lit up with sudden understanding. "The quantum displacement technology. You've never seen anything like it because you took a different evolutionary path. Your species developed fold space travel early, didn't you? It became the foundation of your technological development. All species do." One of the energy beings pulsed. "It's a natural progression. Except, apparently, humans." Sarah felt a smile tugging at her lips as she began to understand. We couldn't crack fold space technology. Every attempt failed. So we looked deeper at the fundamental nature of space-time itself. We didn't try to move through space. We learned to manipulate it directly. Impossible. Another representative flickered. The computational requirements alone. Unless, Dr. Wong interrupted, you develop quantum computing first. Which we did, out of necessity. One advancement leading to another, but down a completely different path than any other species. Xerxes rose to his full height, his scales now pulsing with colors that made the translator flash warning signals about extreme emotional states. You must understand what this means. The Great Protocol wasn't just about testing new species. It was about maintaining order, ensuring that all civilizations developed along predictable, manageable paths. Your existence, your entire technological basis, it challenges everything we thought we knew about intelligent life's development. Sarah stood as well, matching Xerxes's formal posture. Then perhaps it's time for some of those assumptions to be challenged. Humanity doesn't want to disrupt your galactic order, but we won't be forced into a predetermined role either. The energy beams began pulsing in complex patterns, their shells humming with what seemed like intense debate. Finally, Xerxes spoke again. The protocol must be updated. For the first time in 50 million years, we face a species that has developed along a completely unique path. Your quantum manipulation technology. It could revolutionize everything from space travel to energy production. But it could also destabilize the carefully maintained balance of power in the galaxy. Or, Dr. Wong suggested, it could be the key to the next stage of galactic evolution. You've admitted your civilization has been stable for 50 million years. Perhaps that's not entirely a good thing. Perhaps some disruption is needed for true progress. The chamber fell silent as the implications of her words sank in. Sarah watched the energy patterns of the Federation representatives shift and swirl, recognizing signs of deep internal conflict, even without the translator's help. We propose, Sarah said into the silence, a new category in your protocol. Not submission, not conventional alliance, not pure diplomacy. Partnership, real partnership, where both sides learn from each other. We have much to learn from your 50 million years of civilization. But perhaps you have something to learn from us as well. Xerxes' scales settled into a deep, resonant blue that the translator associated with profound contemplation. In 50 million years, no one has ever suggested that the testers should themselves be tested. His multiple eyes focused on Sarah with new intensity. Humanity truly is unique. The question now is whether the galaxy is ready for such uniqueness. Sarah's response was interrupted by a sudden alert from the Prometheus. Lieutenant Park's voice came through her neural link. Admiral, we're detecting massive energy signatures. More ships are emerging from fold space, but these aren't Federation vessels. The diplomatic chamber's walls rippled with new information as space itself seemed to tear open around their location. Through the station's viewing ports, Sarah could see huge ships appearing. Different from the Federation's fleet, darker and more angular. Xerxes' scales paled. The dissent. They must have been monitoring the test. They've been waiting for something like this. A chance to upset the balance. He turned to Sarah, all his eyes focused on her. Admiral Chen, I hope you meant what you said about partnership, because I fear we're about to be tested together. The Concordia station's defensive shields snapped into place as the Dissent fleet emerged fully from fold space. Sarah counted at least 30,000 ships through the viewing ports, twice the size of the Federation's initial test fleet. Their vessels were like angular shadows against the stars, absorbing rather than reflecting light. They've been waiting for this moment for millennia, Xerxes explained, his scales shifting to deep crimson patterns. The Dissent believes the protocol has stagnated our civilization. They wish to throw the galaxy into chaos, believing that only through conflict can true evolution occur. How convenient for them that we just proved the protocol can be broken. Sarah muttered, already accessing tactical data through her neural link. The Prometheus was feeding her real-time analysis of the distant fleet's capabilities. The numbers weren't encouraging. Dr. Wong was rapidly documenting everything on her quantum tablet. Their ship's design philosophy is completely different from the Federation's. Look at how they're absorbing energy rather than deflecting it. They've developed their own path. One of the energy beings pulsed. Rejected our technology, our methods. They've spent millennia in the darkness between galaxies, evolving their own solutions. Sarah's tactical display suddenly flared with warnings. They're powering weapons, she announced, but not conventional energy weapons. She paused, double-checking the readings. They're creating localized holes in space-time. Artificial gravity wells. Xerxes' scales paled again. Their favorite tactic. They'll tear everything apart with gravitational forces. Our fold space drives won't work within their gravity wells. We'll be trapped. Sarah felt a smile forming. Gravity wells, you say? She opened a channel to the Prometheus. Lieutenant Park, send the quantum displacement array specifications to the Federation ships. Full technical package, no restrictions. The energy beings pulsed with surprise. You would share your technology. Now. Admiral, Xerxes warned, even if we had your plans, we cannot construct such devices quickly enough to. You don't need to, Sarah interrupted. Your ships already have the basic components. You use quantum field generators for your fold space drives. They just need to be repurposed. She turned to the Federation representatives. Your civilization has 50 million years of engineering experience. We have a new way of looking at quantum mechanics. Together, we might just have a chance. The next 30 minutes were a blur of activity. Federation engineers, working through quantum entanglement links, began rapidly modifying their ship systems based on the human specifications. The energy beings proved invaluable, their consciousness able to directly interface with their ship's quantum systems in ways even Sarah's neural link couldn't match. Distant fleet is moving into attack formation, Lieutenant Park reported. They're launching their first wave of gravity attacks. Sarah watched through the tactical display as space itself began to distort around the Federation's defensive line. The distance gravity weapons were creating a web of spatial distortions, trying to trap and crush their targets. Federation ships report quantum modifications at 60%. One of the energy beings pulsed. We need more time. Prometheus will buy you that time, Sarah declared. She turned to Xerxes. You said the galaxy might not be ready for humanity's uniqueness. Let's find out. The Prometheus moved to the front of the defensive line, its quantum displacement arrays already humming with power. As the distance gravity wells reached out to crush them, Sarah gave the order. Initiate Protocol Prometheus Beta. The quantum displacement arrays activated, but not in their defensive configuration. Instead, they began to resonate with the distance gravity wells, amplifying and redirecting them. The space around the Prometheus became a maelstrom of twisted reality, but the ship itself remained untouched, protected by its own quantum field. Fascinating, Dr. Wong breathed, watching the spatial distortions through the station's sensors. We're not fighting the gravity wells. We're dancing with them, using their own power against them. The distant fleet faltered, clearly unprepared for their weapons to be turned against them. Their gravity wells began to collapse as they tried to adjust their tactics. Federation ships report quantum modifications complete, the energy beings announced, ready to implement human protocols. Sarah nodded. All ships, execute quantum displacement on my mark. She paused, watching as the distant fleet regrouped for another attack. Mark. The space around the combined human Federation fleet erupted with quantum energy. Hundreds of ships, working in perfect synchronization, began manipulating the fabric of reality itself. The distance gravity wells were caught in a web of quantum displacement fields, their own weapons becoming their prison. Multiple distant ships experiencing critical failures, Lieutenant Park reported. Their gravity technology is backfiring under the quantum fields. Through the viewing ports, Sarah watched as the massive distant fleet began to break apart. Some ships managed to escape back into fold space, but many were trapped, their technology useless against the combined might of human innovation and Federation engineering. Xerxes moved to stand beside her, his scales now showing patterns the translator indicated as awe and respect. "In all our history," he said softly, "we have never seen such adaptation, such synergy between species. Perhaps this is what the galaxy has been waiting for." Sarah watched as the remaining distant ships fled, leaving their trapped companions behind. "The galaxy wasn't ready for change," she replied. "But sometimes change comes whether you're ready or not." Dr. Wong was already documenting the battle's aftermath. "This will revolutionize everything, not just technology, but how species interact, how civilizations develop." Indeed, one of the energy beings pulsed. The protocol was meant to guide civilization's growth. Instead, it nearly prevented us from recognizing the truly new form of advancement. But Sarah's attention was on her tactical display, where the quantum sensors were picking up something new. "I don't think we're done yet," she announced. "Those distant ships that escaped, they're not running away. They're regrouping. And if I'm reading these energy signatures correctly, they're preparing something big." Xerxes studied the data with all his eyes. They would rather destroy everything than admit their philosophy might be wrong. He turned to Sarah. "The real test begins now, Admiral. Are our civilizations truly ready to work together?" Sarah's neural link was already connecting with both human and Federation ships, establishing a joint command network. "Only one way to find out," she replied. "Let's show them what humanity and the Federation can really do together." The quantum computer core of the Prometheus pulsed with newfound power as Sarah integrated the Federation's ancient knowledge with humanity's neural interface systems. Around her, reality itself seemed to shimmer as the combined fleet prepared for the distance return. "Their energy signatures are off the scale," Lieutenant Park reported, his own neural interface streaming data directly to the tactical display. "They're combining their gravity wells into some kind of unified field. Never seen anything like it." "I have," one of the energy beings pulsed, its mechanical shell humming with concern. "They're attempting to create a singularity cascade. If they succeed, it will tear apart everything within half a light year." Dr. Wong's fingers flew across her quantum tablet. "The spatial calculations they'd need to control something like that." "They don't intend to control it," Xerxes interrupted, his scales now a deep violet of concern. "The distant believes that only through destruction can true advancement occur. They would sacrifice themselves to prove their point." Sarah's neural interface suddenly flared with new information as the Prometheus's AI made an unexpected connection. "Wait," she said, her eyes widening. "The way they're configuring their gravity wells. It's similar to how our quantum displacement fields work, just inverted." The energy beings pulsed rapidly, their patterns showing excitement. "Yes, they're using gravity to twist space-time, while your technology uses quantum fields to manipulate it. Two sides of the same principle." "Admiral," the Prometheus's AI spoke directly into Sarah's mind. "I've been analyzing the combined sensor data from all ships. There's a pattern emerging. The distance gravity technology and our quantum fields, they're not just similar, they're complementary." Sarah felt her pulse quicken as the implications became clear. "Like wave interference patterns," she muttered. "If we time it right." She turned to the Federation representatives. "I need direct neural interface access to all ships. Not just command and control, full integration." The energy beings flickered with alarm. "You want to link your artificial intelligence with our quantum matrices. The computational load alone cold would be handled by human quantum processors," Dr. Wong interrupted, understanding dawning on her face. "Our neural interfaces were designed to manage exactly this kind of complex integration." Xerxes studied Sarah with all his eyes. "You intend to synchronize every ship in the fleet?" coordinate a simultaneous quantum displacement field across thousands of vessels. More than that, Sarah replied. We're going to create a counter-resonance to their singularity cascade. But we need perfect timing, perfect synchronization, the kind only possible through direct AI integration. The chamber fell silent as the Federation representatives considered the implications. What Sarah was proposing went against 50 million years of established protocols. AI integration at this scale had always been deemed too dangerous, too unpredictable. The space between the fleets had become a cosmic laboratory where the laws of physics were being rewritten. Through the neural network, Sarah could feel the wonder radiating from both Federation and human crews as they witnessed the impossible unfold before them. The distant fleet hung suspended in the quantum gravitational web, their attempted singularity cascade transformed into something entirely new. The corridors of stabilized space-time pulsed with possibilities that neither humanity nor the Federation had dreamed possible. These readings are revolutionary, Dr. Wong announced, her quantum tablet struggling to process the data. The interaction between our technologies isn't just stopping their attack, it's creating stable wormholes, natural corridors through space-time. The energy beings pulsed with excitement, their patterns almost too rapid for the translator to follow. The dissent sought to prove that destruction leads to evolution, one of them commented. Instead, they helped prove that cooperation does. Through the neural interface, Sarah felt a new presence, a transmission from the distant fleet. They're requesting communication, she announced, not just with us, but with their consciousness directly linked to the network. Xerxes's scales shifted to a color the translator had never seen before. In 50 million years, the distant have never asked for dialogue. They've only demanded destruction. Sarah studied the tactical display, watching the complex dance of forces through both human and Federation sensors. Perhaps they've seen something worth talking about. The neural network expanded as the distant consciousness joined, their perspective flooding into the shared space. Their thoughts were alien, shaped by millennia of isolation and dedication to chaos theory, but there was something familiar in their wonder at what was happening. We sought to force evolution through destruction. The distant consciousness resonated through the network. We never imagined evolution could come through synthesis. The Prometheus's AI began correlating data from all three civilizations, creating a unified model of what they were witnessing. The stabilized space-time corridors weren't just preventing destruction. They were opening up entirely new possibilities for space travel, energy generation, and even communication across vast distances. Your quest for destruction, Sarah responded through the network. Our drive to protect, the Federation's desire for order. They're all part of the same story. Evolution isn't about one path triumphing over the others. It's about finding new paths altogether. Dr. Wong was practically vibrating with excitement as she documented everything. This is why the protocol couldn't predict humanity's development. It assumed there was only one path forward, a single line of technological evolution. But we're proving that true advancement comes from combining different perspectives, different approaches. The energy beings began resonating at frequencies that made their mechanical shells hum. The protocol was meant to guide civilization's growth, but it became a constraint. Humanity didn't break the protocol. They showed us it was never complete. Through the neural network, Sarah felt a shift in the distant consciousness. Their dedication to chaos was being replaced by something new, a recognition that the most profound changes could come from cooperation rather than destruction. We offer a proposal, the distant consciousness transmitted. Not submission, not alliance, but synthesis. Let us study these corridors together. Let us explore what happens when gravity meets quantum fields, when chaos meets order, when different paths of evolution intersect. Xerxes moved to the viewing port, his scales now showing patterns of deep contemplation. For 50 million years, the galaxy has been divided between those who follow the protocol and those who reject it. Perhaps it's time for something new. Sarah felt the weight of the moment through the neural interface, the combined hopes and fears of three civilizations, each seeing a future they had never imagined possible. "The Federation has its ancient wisdom," she said. "The Dissent has its drive for change. Humanity has its ability to find new paths. Together, we could do more than break the protocol. We could transcend it." The space around them continued to shimmer with quantum gravitational corridors, each one a testament to what was possible when different paths of evolution came together. The Prometheus's AI was already cataloging hundreds of potential applications, ways this discovery could revolutionize everything from space travel to energy production. "There will be challenges," the Dissent consciousness acknowledged. 50 million years of division cannot be undone in a moment. "No," Sarah agreed, "but every journey begins with a single step. We've proven today that the greatest leaps forward come not from following a single path, but from bringing different paths together." Dr. Wong looked up from her quantum tablet, her eyes shining. "This isn't just first contact anymore. This is first synthesis, the beginning of a new kind of galactic civilization." Through the neural network, Sarah felt agreement resonating from all three fleets. The energy beings pulsed with renewed purpose. The Dissent consciousness hummed with new possibilities, and the Federation ships radiated with the excitement of discovery. Xerxes's scales settled into a pattern that the translator identified as hope. "When we came to test humanity's response to crisis, we never imagined they would end up teaching us instead. The galaxy has been waiting for something to break the cycle of the last 50 million years. We never expected it to come from such a young species." Sarah watched as the first ships, Federation, Dissent, and Human, began carefully exploring the stable corridors they had created together. "Maybe that's exactly why it had to be us," she said. "We're young enough to imagine new possibilities, but wise enough to know we can't walk this path alone." The stars seemed to shine brighter through the quantum gravitational corridors, as if the universe itself was celebrating the dawn of something new. Humanity had taken its first steps into the galactic community not as conquerors or supplicants, but as catalysts for change. Evolution's child, helping an ancient galaxy remember how to grow again.